So the last video reviewing this board, pretty much all consisted of flat ground. Andy told me, and I don't think it's any of my videos, but he 100% told me probably off camera that this is like his flip trick board, but it works for everything. But he had flip tricks in mind. He wanted it to be more of like a techie board, because if you think about it, his first board was like really big, and that's sort of like a freestyle transition, but you can still do other stuff on it. And then the football one was a little bit more streety, but like you can still kind of do everything. And this one is like techie, but you can still do everything kind of thing. I wonder if he's ever going to do just like a straight freestyle board. I don't know. But anyways, mostly flat ground. That's all I really skated. And it worked really good. You get some poppy 360 flips, which normally my 360 flips aren't that good. And on that board, they were kind of consistently the way that I would like them to be, especially the fakie ones and the nollie ones. This video, it's like all grinds pretty much. I skate the ledge. I do a couple manual tricks. I skate the flat bar. And I find things that I like and dislike about it. There's one thing in particular about this board that, and I don't know, maybe I was just having a bad day. It didn't seem to work. Maybe in the video you can figure it out. But there's also some really cool positives of the board that I kind of find out both on a ledge and a flat bar, I believe. Just there's some different things about it, taking it to actual obstacles. I also skate transition in this video. Anyways, but yeah, I'll chime back in a little bit and fill you in on some other stuff, but yeah. Whew, okay, that sun is really out. I'm gonna actually grab some wax real quick, the ledge is sticky, and I wanna see how it locks with certain things. I'm having serious doubts about backside feeble grinds on ledges with that taper in. I'm not positive, but I know the football shape of the other Andy board is really forgiving. There's a possibility that the lack thereof might have a good effect as well. But honestly, I think it's going to be the exact opposite. We'll see. And I just ran to my car to grab the wax as I walked back. I'd like to remind you once again what this video is about. This video is about the learning curve of this board. Now, I could probably sit here and really play with like the new scoopy pocket on the tip of this tail and probably start to really loft some flip tricks that I couldn't loft before. But I just wanted to show how immediate, if there was any progress, skating this board normally and just dabbling, playing with like the other pocket of the board. And it's pretty intuitive. It wasn't adjustment at all. In fact, no tricks have been made harder yet, but I expect that's going to happen with grinds and slides. That's my prediction at least. But if anything, flip tricks altogether, they feel a lot easier because it's flipping a little simpler. It flips like a smaller board. Smaller boards like an 825. Man, if I started riding those, all my flip tricks would come back with a vengeance. But the issue is I'm not willing to sacrifice the stability of a bigger board. This board, I'm not saying it skates exactly like an 8.5, but it's a good middle ground. If you skate transition, but you miss your flip tricks and you want to get them back, this might be a really good board for you. An initial worry of mine is the shape of the board. Looking down at it, I was worried that it was gonna sort of mess up my aim for grinds because they were like kind of looking at this curve. And even though I can see my nuts where I normally can, yeah, I'm afraid it's gonna like mess up my timing or my aim, especially for grinds. So we're gonna wax it up. I'm gonna actually do some 50-50s for a reason, not just to warm up. I just wanna see if it like feels any different. I'm assuming I'm gonna land them first try, but I wanna see if it feels any different. Actually, that grind is kind of decent. Okay, let's get to like the real questions about this. My first question, is this gonna make my slappies weird? Because when you slappy front side or back side, first thing to touch the ledge is literally right where this curvature is. I don't expect you to fuck with me, but we'll see. Yeah, crooks feel good. Decent pinch. Let's see how popping like straight nollie tricks, like off of this, like let's say I go to nollie no slide, is it gonna tilt all weird on me? Or am I gonna be able to control it like a normal nollie? We'll start off with nollie nose. I mean, nollies feel kind of good just because the board's tiny. So it feels really easy to like get up on there. Yeah, nollie feels cozy. Another kind of random worry that I had was for like nose slides and tail slides. I was thinking about the board, not looking at it, thinking about how my foot would hang off more because of that little taper in. But actually where you put your foot for nose slides and tail slides is here. So this doesn't really
cause an issue in theory. We're about to find out. Yeah, that felt pretty normal. Yeah, it's honestly just kind of feeling like a normal skateboard. Well, here's what I want to try out. So for that trick, I'm expecting it to be easier. When you do Smith grinds, all the friction to slow you down is here. With this cut in, I feel like it's like a little bit less. I don't know if that's real or not, but I also feel like since it's less, I can maybe get away with tilting a little bit further this way, because when you're right up against it like this, it's gonna push you out. But if you can, like, you know what I mean? Does that make sense? Are you a Smither? If you're a Smither, I feel like you know what I mean. Like that. Like, I know it wasn't the longest Smith in the world, but like, holding Smith grinds on straight ledges is really awkward. Oh! You see me try to get out early, and then I just didn't because I was like, oh, I'm still kind of grinding. Let's try to clean that up a little. I feel like I should pop out early out of backsmith because I don't really do those a lot. Heck yeah. That was a Kenny Reed backsmith. If you don't get the reference, you're not my age. Is that Smith? And I guess if I have to ask, definitely do it again. I mean, I landed it. Yeah, it's just, I don't know, I'll talk about it in a second. So far for the grinds, there's been 0 negatives, 1 positive, and that's Smith grinds. Here's the negative I expect. I'm gonna do some Feeble grinds on it, and I feel like I'm gonna be able to land it, but it's not gonna be as easy to sit on. So I'll start off with just like a normal Feeble, nothing spicy. It actually locked in okay, I think. We'll find out. Let's do Feeble the whole thing. It actually felt okay. Let's go slower, Feeble the whole thing, so I'm not relying on getting on and off so hard, and then come back and do front Feeble. That actually felt okay. So let's really crawl, pop out early. I'm doing it every try, but I don't know if it's just because I do that trick so much that it's easy, or this board actually works good for it. Let me really go slow and grind to a stop. I know I fell out kind of gnarly, but like, I was in there. Let me get in there one more time slow, and I'm gonna feel around. I wanna know what's going on. So what I think is going on is it's Feeble grinding like an 838, but I don't know. It feels fine. I don't think there's a negative downside to it. Did I cover everything? Oh, I guess I should do blunt slides, even though I'm like positive that's not going to be affected. Also, this ledge is kind of sticky for that, so. Probably try blunt slides. I know that it's not going to be effect for that. Like, I think it's going to skate just fine. It's sticky though, and I don't want to wax it because then I just murder the next person skating, so. I'll try each of them like twice. If I don't land them, I don't land them. So sticky. It's sticky. So I'm sitting in the shade, regaining my composure, and of course thinking, because that's the one thing I do too much besides probably skateboard. And my switch flips, I don't know how they came out on camera, but they felt way more controlled and less mob. They were definitely leveling out to some degree. And I was like, well, that's weird. I guess it's just because the board's smaller or feels smaller that they're working. But then I started thinking, this ripstick-esque shape is like kind of counterbalanced, but on the ends, like it's like heavier on the ends because there's less meat in the middle. So it made me start thinking, if you get your weight to this side and flick down, I think it has more reason to tweak down because there's more weight up there than like what you're dealing with in the middle. So maybe this might help with mob kickflips. I'm not positive. That's just like a theory, just based on the fact that my switch flips weren't as bad as they normally are. But I'll play with it more. Obviously there'll be more updates. I might actually skate this board for a couple days, just because it's already set up and I hate setting up boards.
So at this point in the video, I hope you're paying attention to not just like the fact that I'm doing tricks, but maybe trying to look a little bit closer, maybe pausing the video a little bit to see if anything is different. Because as much as like I keep saying in the video, like everything works fine, there are some different feels to a couple things, which in some instances could be very good. I think skateboarding varies for everyone. Like I think if you look at the way one person sits on a crooked grind, some people prefer to have their foot more towards the tip of the nose. Some people prefer to have it more in the pocket. This board kind of regulates like where a lot of your foot positioning is because the way the board's laid out, which makes you very, very, very consistent and always putting your feet back in the same spot. Since I filmed this video, I've started skating the football shape that I was used to skating. And it wasn't weird transitioning back in a bad way, but it's like, oh yeah, I don't have these kind of hips on the board to indicate where like my feet should be or where I would normally flick. Because having that extension past the midpoint of the board where the board kind of like tapers out again is very nice for flicking. It's like, oh, I know I'm not going to flick off too early, because if you have a mob kickflip, chances are you're flicking off the board too early. If you flick more towards the nose, that's when it tweaks out. It kind of helps prevent that. And of course, off camera, I kept skating this board, and there's like some experiences that I had that I'll talk about in a few minutes. I just try to pay close attention to my foot positioning and stuff like that. Here is me skating more. I don't know where in the video this is.
So next up, flat bar. Couple questions that I have. One, how's it get a Feeble on a rail? Two, since my deck rails are kind of set in weird, our board side Hurricanes and board side Feeble is going to be uncomfortable. And am I going to slide faster because there's like less meat in the middle? How are railies going to feel because it's bigger on the nose than the tail? How are crooked grinds going to sit because of the shape of the nose? The ledge is one thing because there's more surface to kind of catch you and drag on, but with a rail there's nothing. So yeah, let's get to it. Okay, I know those are just board slides, and it could definitely just because my decks are a little further in, but they're not that much further in. That felt like a crazy fast slide, and I don't know if it's because since the board comes out on the sides, it's easier to make this teeter for the middle, because I have like almost like flappers that stick out. But that front board definitely almost started to lift up to like a front Hurricane. Obviously, there's going to be nothing weird about 50-50s, but Feeble felt cozy. I'll do a couple more. So everything you just saw right there was kind of like first go, but I'm already warmed up, so I could probably do those tricks on a lot of different shape boards, but I'm paying a lot of attention to what feels different. And I would say nothing really felt that different besides board slide tricks. I feel like I'm sliding faster. Having the ability to sneak my feet up past the curvature right here, I feel like makes getting into Hurricanes a little bit easier. The one that I just got into, I felt like I barely leaned back, which might take a little adjustment for if I try that down like bigger rails, but we'll see. It might not be that big of a deal. Feeble grinds felt really secure. I don't think that this piece right here like these hips are locking me in any better. They might be, but I do feel really secure on it. I've got to play with no slides and blunts next. Hold on, let me catch my breath. I am tired.
I really struggle to gather some energy. Okay, rarely, frontside hurricane, blunt slides, no slides. I think those are all different points of the skateboard that I need to see if they're affected at all.
I don't know if I mishit it or that was actually weird. One more time. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if it's because the wheelbase is different, but it's like catching me a lot more. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like there you have it. That might be the first trick that's negatively affected. Because I think this is a shorter wheelbase. I could be wrong. But maybe because it's gotta be the wheelbase. Man, nose slides feel good. I think because the nose is like bigger than the rest of the board. Makes me feel maybe falsely secure. Stuck behind my shoulder.
Decent hurricane lock, and it's because it's the same thing as Feeble. One thing I was noticing was sometimes when I would try to get into it, I would miss ollie a little bit because the board is so much lighter. Like I'm so used to skating that 8'7" Andy Anderson football shape, so it has a lot of meat on it, and this has the exact opposite of that. But yeah, we'll mess around with transition. A transition can't be anything. Like there can't be anything weird about transition. I can't imagine it. Maybe blunts might be weird, but I doubt it.
Really to report.
So what exactly are we dealing with here? What does this skateboard end up being? When it's all said and done, the final verdict, after day one, so I guess not the final verdict, but here's what here's my honest opinion on the board. It skates like a smaller board. So for things like flip tricks, I prefer it to what I'm already skating. I'm not gonna lie. Like if I was to just be a game of skater just for like Battle of the Barracks or something like that, I would probably do it on this board. It just flips really easy. You have a good bit of board to land on. It's a really good bridge between people who prefer bigger boards but still want to be tech, or someone who just has always skated like 8.5s, 8.75s, but is really struggling with like maybe some of the doubles or triples or getting their flip tricks higher. This might be the move for you. As far as grinds, I would say that there was no negatives really. They all worked. There was nothing significantly special that I experienced except for with board slides. It was definitely something that I noticed that made teetering into hurricanes faster and easier. Not positive if I like that or not. So no big perks for the grinds, but everything still works. Slappies still work, tail slides still work. Railies for some reason didn't want to work, and I think it might be because the wheelbase is different, but I'm not sure. I have no idea. That was weird. And then the looking down at the skateboard and getting used to seeing that shape was a little different, but the feeling of the shape was great. Like the board feels cozy under you. There wasn't really like when you skate like a board without a nose, or if you skate like a big fish board, or if you skate a football actually for the first time, it has like a little, like a full sharp football, not like the slight taper that I'm riding right now. There's like a little bit of adjustment, especially for things like 360 flips. With this, it felt pretty cozy out the gate. Just looking down on it was a little different, and it made me overthink a couple of the grinds. But after I got the first couple 50-50s out of the way, I was smooth sailing. The thing that I would like to play with is Impossibles, backside 360s, and pressure flips, which is what these pockets are really supposed to give you the benefit of. But I was more concerned of, is this board going to be weird for people to get used to, because it is so different? And the answer is no. You're going to get used to it right away. I'm not sold on skating it. I still prefer the football so far. It's going to be pretty hard to pry me away from that. But the biggest takeaway is 360 flips felt incredible. My phone died while filming that. I just plugged in. Yeah, 360 flips felt super good. Especially the fakie ones is one that I have a lot of trouble getting in the air, and they were going up way easier. In fact, all the flip tricks felt good, because it's a lighter board. It's easier to get this board in the air. The board should be on sale very soon. It's on the website right now to pre-order. I will link that in the bios for you to pre-order the skateboard. It is a flight deck. It doesn't break. And if you put deck rails on it, even if you try to break the skateboard by jumping in the middle, you're still not getting through it. Or if you're looking for a more tech skateboard and you're used to riding a bigger skateboard, or if you ride a smaller skateboard but you want to step up to a bigger board to have more to land on, but you don't want to sacrifice that quickness of the flick and the comfort of having a board that flips easier, going either direction, this is a really good board. Stay tuned for more updates about this board. Can't give a perfect verdict after only a few hours of skating something, so yeah, stay tuned.
So I continued to skate this board off camera for a couple skate parks, actually, just kind of getting used to it and seeing what I liked and didn't like, and I have some stuff to report. The first thing I would like to say is after that Mayberry session, I continued to skate at Mayberry, just not on camera, and I liked the way ollies on transition felt. I wish I would have done one of those on film. I don't know, something about like where the hip starts, I was a little worried about my foot catching it for some reason, but your foot doesn't really go over there. So it just, I don't know, it felt kind of snug to slide my foot up to like the bigger nose. I don't know if there's an actual truth to that or if that was a placebo effect, which is what I'm saying for a lot of this, because in honesty, skateboarding has a lot of that. But one thing that I did like is since the board has the weight on the ends, it made it sort of more comfortable to tweak down. So specifically for a trick that I suck at, like a back lip on a flat bar, you literally just ollie and tweak down and shuffle over. Normally I kind of do these like weird scoopy, not mob, but like level ollies in my back lips, and it makes it hard for me to get comfortable with them. On this board, absolutely was feeling great. I went to Cherry after this, did a lot of my go-to slappy tricks. Totally forgot that I was riding that board. Railies, once again, felt a little weird. There was nothing else that I came to that seemed to be an issue except for scooping backside 360s, really wanted to spin. It was at the end of the session at Cherry that I messed with them, but I was like, oh man, I should definitely do backside 360s on this board. I should film one because this board really is making it want to work. I go home and the next day I go to Poods, and while I'm there, I skated for a couple minutes. It was kind of cool not having to break in the board or warm up at all. I was already completely used to it, so going and doing all my go-tos. But since I wanted to have like a full session, I did want to switch back to my regular board. It was like a skate day for me, like a day that I wasn't going to film anything. I was literally just going there to skate. And I tried a couple backside 360s, and I was thinking like if I come close, I'll film one. But in all honesty, it was like early in the morning, and I was just like, I don't feel like battling anything. It's my day off. Screw it. So I took the board off. I did try a couple backside 360s on my football, and I just sort of pretending that the hip was there. And it didn't do anything like the little notch out does for a regular board, but it did give me the confidence to try to scoop them better. So maybe I'll be able to land backside 360s on flat ground without pivoting sometime soon. Probably not. Anyways, that's the end of the video.